Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Beyond Crazy. 4. Joyce Mayer. In December 1996, police stumbled upon a mystery fit for a detective novel. At a cemetery in Annandale, Virginia, picture the body of a middle-aged woman was found. In her pockets were 2 notes and some cash. One note clarified to police that the death had been a suicide, and the other directed them to use the cash for funeral expenses. Both were signed Jane Doe, and despite their best efforts, police were unable to identify the woman who would become known as the Christmas Tree Lady. In May 2022, genome sequencing technology became available to the Fairfax Police Department, enabling investigators to reach out to potential family members. After more than 25 years, she was finally identified as Joyce Mayer, a woman who had drifted apart from her family after moving to Virginia in the mid-80s. In a statement, the Fairfax County Sheriff's Department thanked several generations of FCPD detectives along with Ortham, the company that supplied the genome sequencing technology, and expressed its conviction that said that technology will help them to resolve many more unsolved cases in the future. Number 3. Don Olenek. The case of the young woman known as Princess Doe was just a bit unusual in that the man responsible for the crime was identified by police long before the victim was. When the 17-year-old was found beaten to death in a New Jersey cemetery in July 1982, the small community of Blairstown responded with an outpouring of sympathy, raising funds for her burial and keeping the case in the public eye, according to the New Jersey Herald. The case gained national attention, even serving as the basis of an HBO special in 1983. Justice, though, was a long time in coming. The case was partially resolved in 2005 when Richard Kinlaw, serving a 20 years to life sentence in prison for the murder of another woman, confessed in writing to Princess Doe's murder. But it wasn't until 2022 that, you guessed it, advances in DNA technology finally allowed authorities to use an imperfect DNA profile to identify the victim as Don Olenek, whom it is believed that Kinlaw murdered when she resisted his attempt to coerce her into prostitution. Despite his confession, Kinlaw couldn't be charged with the murder until positive identification of his victim was made, and with that accomplished, a first-degree murder charge was filed against him in July 2022. Number 2. Lena Reyes Jades. Another victim of a brutal murder who went unidentified for decades, Lena Reyes Jades was found near a spring in the vicinity of Lake Powell, Utah in 1998, shot, bound, and wrapped in a sleeping bag. The main problem with positively identifying her was the fact that her fingertips had been cut off. The entreaties to the public for help yielded nothing, according to the Salt Lake Tribune. Nothing, that is, until 2018, when an amateur cold case enthusiast came forward with one tiny detail after police reopened the case. That detail was a small mole on Jade's right ear, which was enough for police to make a tenuous connection to Jade's. Acting on the suspicions for her family in Mexico, authorities examined trace DNA from the ropes used to bind her, comparing it with DNA given by the family of Edward Jade's pictured, Lena's husband, who had died by suicide in 2001. A match was made confirming Edward Jades as the murderer and giving a modicum of closure to the family of Lena Reyes Jades, who for 20 years had been known to Utah law enforcement only as the Maiden Water victim, after the area in which she was found. Number 1. Sharon Lee Gallegos. In the summer of 1960, the body of a young girl was found near a highway in Yavapai County, Arizona. Due to decomposition, it was tough to determine the girl's age, let alone her identity. At the time, authorities believed her to be about 7 years old. This would prove to be an incorrect guess, and as there was a dearth of reported missing child cases involving children of that age, police hit a dead end in the case of the girl who would become known to locals as Little Miss Nobody. That heartbreaking nickname was retired forever in 2022 thanks to DNA retrieved from the little girl's remains in 2015. As we've seen, DNA technology is growing by leaps and bounds every year, and while no workable DNA profile could be created at a time, it was a different story just 7 years later. Using DNA from living relatives, the little girl was finally identified as Sharon Lee Gallegos, a 4-year-old who was abducted from her grandmother's home in Alamogordo, New Mexico, 500 miles from where her body had been discovered in July 1960. Unfortunately, the 62-year-old mystery has only been partially solved. The cops are still on the lookout for Gallegos' abductor, although it seems a safe bet that if they're still alive, the extremely long, doggedly determined arm of the law will catch up to them eventually. As for the moniker Little Miss Nobody, Yavapai County Sheriff David Rhodes had only one succinct comment: "I hope we never hear that name again." This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.